On this sunny day, in a towering building, two friends casually stroll toward the elevator, a guy and a girl. He turns to her with excitement, asking if she caught the latest movie. She counters, inquiring about which film he's referring to. With a grin, he specifies the most recent one. She confesses she hasn't seen it yet, surprising him with her lack of up-to-dateness. Undeterred, he offers to spill the movie's ending, but she shoots back a firm refusal, warning him to keep it to himself if he values his life. Despite her threat, he persists, met with her increasing resistance and mounting anger. To his surprise, he notices her ears popping out in frustration. As they hit the ground floor, stepping out into the lively street, a palpable silence lingers. Breaking the ice, he casually wonders if she's upset. She quickly rebuffs the idea, questioning why she should be. Undeterred, he persists, convinced that something's bothering her, pointing out her seemingly put-out expression. Despite his probing, she denies any upset feelings. In an attempt to lighten the mood, he brings up her distinctive ears and assures her that no one cares about it anymore. Playfully, he mentions how she often leaves them outside at home, along with her tail. But before he can finish his sentence, a swift hit lands on his nose, and he's left contemplating the need for a good beating. Wincing, he questions if his words hurt her deeply, yet she maintains a stoic denial. Who is she in this quirky tale? None other than the girl with furry ears and a tail. Angrily, she strides away, leaving him trailing behind, pleading for her to wait. As the scene unfolds, he reflects on the peculiar journey of how he first encountered this unique character. 7 years ago, on that rare February 29th, a leap day, where even the late winter sun couldn't dispel the cold, wet ground in the park, it felt like a clear sky had just poured rain. On that peculiar day, a mystical creature who had lost her fox speed crossed into their world. Fast forward to the present, in school, Yoon and Han Sae-byok are perpetually dubbed the couple. Despite her vehement protests that they're not actually a couple, they're inseparable, in class, the library, everywhere. Their routine extends to walking home together after class. A year into high school, their days seem ordinary, just like everyone else's, but to them, that makes it all the more special. Walking in silence, Han Sae-byok spots a full moon and curiously asks Yoon if foxes do anything special during a full moon. Playfully, she quashes any werewolf notions, but he abruptly cuts her off with a story about wolves eating foxes. She disagrees, asserting that wolves aren't that tough. Their debate is interrupted by a barking dog they encounter, leaving Yoon scared. Han Sae-byok quickly comes to her rescue, using her hoodie to shield her head. As the dog's owner apologizes, blaming poor eyesight, the persistent barking continues. Walking on in silence, Han Sae-byok casually mentions the biological link between dogs and wolves, triggering agitation in Yoon. Now, let's rewind to the day they met. The boy and the girl became friends as he enjoyed conversing with the fox, and the fox reciprocated the sentiment. Determined to help find the lost fox Speed, the boy searched all day, but it remained elusive. At day's end, all he could do was watch as the fox returned to her homeland in the sunshower. As they continue their journey, Yoon reflects on the recent encounter with the barking dog and the peculiar moments they've shared over the years. After the fox took off that day, something shifted in the boy. Initially, he brushed it off, thinking maybe he was simply growing indifferent to the emotions of others. Everything seemed monotonous: school, activities, home, friends, family, it all blurred into a dull sameness. A sense of detachment settled over him, as if he was floating in his own separate realm. As his parents engage in a heated quarrel, he appears strangely unfazed, almost nonchalant. His mother points fingers at his father's consistent absence, attributing his behavior to this familial void. Somewhere along this tumultuous journey, he loses sight of the person he used to be. Stepping in to console his mother, she reassures him that it's not his fault. Yet, a lingering question nags at him: if it's not his fault, then whose fault is it? The more he mulls it over, the colder his heart becomes. Throughout middle school, the boy clings to his indifferent attitude, often found sitting solo. At some point, a desire to break free tugs at him, prompting him to join the crowd and adopt the behaviors of those around him. The realization dawns on him that if he doesn't, he might completely lose touch with the essence of being alive. As time marches on, a significant moment unfolds during the second year of middle school, precisely on the first day of spring. He strolls alone in the garden, lost in his thoughts, when a tap on his shoulder startles him. Turning to face the intruder, a girl stands before him, asking if he remembers her. He gazes back, eyes fixed, attempting to recall. Then, she lifts her haughty, revealing her distinctive ears, and it hits him like a jolt. Suddenly, his heart begins to beat again. Back in the present, they make it home, and she casually questions if he's not planning to hop on the elevator. He seems a bit lost in thought but eventually boards. Upon reaching their floor, he turns to her and inquires about her Saturday plans. She denies having any and curiosity sparks as she wonders why he's asking. However, he dismisses it with a casual "it's nothing." Undeterred, she prods further, seeking more details, but he remains tight-lipped. With a simple "good night," he bids her farewell and disappears into his own dwelling. As he steps into his house, he's greeted by the sight of his mother immersed in a drinking spree. Despite her cheerful welcome, he can't hide his displeasure at finding her indulging in alcohol. She attempts to offer an explanation, a feeble attempt to make him understand, but he's having none of it. To him, it feels like it's just another day tainted by this familiar scene, and his discontent is palpable. Now, the scene shifts to Suel's house. As she walks in, her father warmly welcomes her. Nonchalantly, she takes off her hoodie, and her father, curious about her day, casually inquires if anything exciting happened at school. Her mind briefly flashes back to the moment when Bayok popped the question about her Saturday plans. With a thoughtful expression, she responds, saying she isn't entirely sure if anything noteworthy occurred. The boy's stroll down memory lane persists. He thinks about her magical powers, the cool things she could do. He remembers how her hair changed from white to something else. Her hair used to be all white like snow, but then it turned kinda reddish-brown, like autumn leaves. It was like her hair was changing with the seasons, making her even more mysterious. Back in the present, she relays the day's events to her father. She recounts the incident at the cafe where she found herself unintentionally fixated on Bayok. He was busy asking others about their Saturday plans, and to her surprise, everyone responded with a negative. Puzzled, she wonders why he's on a mission to unravel everyone's weekend intentions. Lost in her contemplation, her friends intervene, playfully teasing her about the intensity of her gaze. They joke that she might just bore a hole in Bayok's face with the way she's staring. A bit taken aback, she questions if she's been staring for that long, to which they cheekily confirm. Swiftly changing the topic, her friends steer the conversation towards the excitement of a new movie that just hit the screens, discussing their plans to go see it and effortlessly shifting the focus away from her unintentional staring escapade. Later in class, a subtle note takes flight as she scribbles her plans on a sheet of paper, aiming it skillfully toward him. His eyes scan the message, revealing her intention to catch a movie with one of their classmates. Seizing the moment, he turns and extends an invitation for her to join him instead. Initially hesitant, she contemplates the proposition before finally agreeing. The surprise lingers in her expression. She hadn't anticipated agreeing to the impromptu change of plans. As the notion settles in, she grapples with her own emotions, aware that there's something more than mere friendship at play. Engaged in their conversation, her attentive father throws a curveball, asking if she appreciates the new emotions she's been navigating. The unexpected question catches her off guard, leaving her with a sense of surprise. Responding to the subtle invitation, he beckons her to join him on the couch. As they settle in, he begins to unravel a tale that has remained veiled for over 4 years. The very reason they moved into their current abode is a mystery to her, one that he believes is ripe for revelation. Fundamentally, they are mystical creatures who thrive on the life energy of humans. Yet, as the world evolves, obtaining human energy has become a daunting challenge. And what's that elusive treasure? Well, it's none other than love. She was really surprised and started asking him a bunch of questions to figure out what he meant. He told her a secret he'd kept. When she lost her bead, the boy she encountered accidentally absorbed its power. Shock courses through her veins, and she probes further, pinpointing the boy next door. Affirming her suspicion, he discloses that their move to the current apartment was precisely because of that boy. Fury bubbles within her. Why is he revealing this crucial piece of information only now? The father, recognizing the emotional tempest brewing, adopts a soothing tone, urging her to lend him an ear. He explains that, as her father, he's been patiently waiting for her to unravel the intricacies of human emotions. Hence, the decision to bring her to this world through a special door that swings open every 4 days, a leap day occurrence, marking the commencement of her upbringing among humans. As the daughter absorbs this revelation, the father urges her to listen closely. A fox's bead, he elaborates, flourishes by absorbing the emotions of humans. That fateful day, the boy not only saw her, but also inadvertently absorbed the bead, planting a seed of emotion within him. Now, that very seed is beginning to sprout into an emotional journey neither could have foreseen. The crux of the matter emerges. To reclaim her bead, she must nurture and cultivate that emotion within the boy, enabling it to blossom and bear fruit. How does she achieve this? By experiencing the boy's emotions in the same way and being able to share this emotional connection with him. The father confesses that he orchestrated her discovery of human feelings to set her on this path. As the daughter grapples with the weight of this mystical knowledge, her father leaves her with a challenge, to ponder what those feelings might be. She goes to her room feeling really sad. She can't believe that Bayok, the boy next door, has her special bead now. It's hard for her to accept. While feeling down, she remembers her dad saying that only feelings can bring back the bead. Lost in thoughts, she remembers her friends teasing her about how she always looked at Bayok. Memories of their time together and the unspoken bond fill her mind. She blushes, thinking about the stolen glances and the chemistry they shared. But now, she's confused about what to do. In Bayok's room, he's also feeling a bunch of emotions. His phone rings, reminding him of a plan to watch a movie with Yoon. He thinks about their unspoken connection, similar to what the girl next door feels. Remembering a moment from the past, Bayok goes back to a morning that feels like a distant memory. Years ago, he and the girl, who he feels like he's known forever, walked to school together. At that time, he wasn't taller. Their heights matched almost perfectly. He casually shares a secret. He always feels a special way when he's with her. He confesses that everything she does makes him burst into laughter, joking that it might be because of her funny faces. She playfully warns him, and he explains that he didn't mean to tease her. He's just finding it hard to express the deep feelings he has for her. She takes a deep breath and asks, "Do you love me?" making it clear and straightforward. He throws a question back, wanting to know if she feels the same way he does. It's a moment that might seem ordinary, but for some reason, it sticks in his thoughts that day. Feeling a lot of emotions, she, being observant, sees his mood change and asks if he's alright. Since the start, he's been a guy figuring out who he is, often getting lost in deep thoughts. After that talk, Bayok is now tangled in his own feelings, trying to understand the threads connecting him to her and uncovering the mysteries of his own heart. On Saturday, they're all set for their movie date. He waits patiently, excited. She shows up a bit late, and he looks a bit unhappy. She says sorry, and he responds practically, saying she'll pay for the snacks. They switch to a cafe, where the smell of coffee mixes with their laughter. In the dim movie hall, they sit together, sneaking looks in the theater's soft light. Their eyes meet, creating a silent bond. She jokes, asking about his gaze, and he playfully asks the same. The movie becomes just a background to their real drama, setting the scene for the next part of their day, a singing practice room. They're in another cafe, sipping drinks as the evening goes on. When he brings up exams, she quickly disagrees, saying they should forget about exams and enjoy the moment. Time passes by, slipping away without them realizing. She looks at him and he, noticing her change, asks if something's wrong. She brushes it off, saying everything's okay, but there's tension in the air. He catches her lying by pointing out her ears twitching. She gets mad, telling him to stop observing, and puts her head down in frustration. When he insists on knowing what she mumbled, she skillfully changes the topic to the movie. They talk about him not liking romance movies, but he admits today's movie wasn't that bad because he watched it with her. The conversation shifts, becoming more heartfelt as he openly says she changes him. Simple things, he says, become important, and he can't quite explain the mysterious feelings he has. They talk about her closest friends, and he notices his name is missing. A hint of jealousy shows on his face. She recognizes his special place, mentioning their first meeting and his knowledge of her true form. The talk becomes self-reflective as she notes his recent odd behavior. He pretends not to know, but he's attentive to the acknowledgement. She suddenly suggests leaving, avoiding his questions. While getting up, she accidentally knocks over her mug, breaking the fragile moment. In the quiet aftermath, he accidentally admits he likes her. The confession hangs there. "I told you I like you," he says, the words lingering like a gentle confession. She's surprised and can't believe it. Her ears twitch in shock, and she covers her head, crouching down. He gets worried and hurries to her, asking if she's okay. She stays quiet, feeling a mix of fear and embarrassment. They attract attention, and he apologizes for it. As they hit the road, she takes a few steps ahead, the discomfort evident in her body language. He tries to bridge the gap, questioning her about his confession. In response, she bursts into laughter, surprising him with the unexpected reaction. Her reply sidesteps the confession entirely, veering into safe territory, praising the movie and acknowledging the enjoyable lunch. However, the words dry up, and suddenly, she starts running. She claims it's because of the cold outside, leaving him behind. The weekend, with its whirlwind of emotions, passes swiftly, giving way to Monday morning. He, eager and ready for school, waits at her door, but she seems far from ready to face the day. A text message informs her of their plan to meet at school later, and he leaves. She glances at her phone, pondering her actions. In the school corridors, she enters the classroom, pointedly ignoring his greetings. His friends, keen observers, pick up on the tension, exchanging curious glances and wondering about the sudden change in dynamics. In the classroom, teacher Jean Haysuk drops the information about an upcoming field trip on Friday, allowing casual wear instead of the regular uniform. Seul's mind races, recalling her father's advice on reclaiming her beads. She had considered making a move earlier, but got swept up in the fun with him, and now, he has confessed his feelings. The randomness of it perplexes her, and she resolves to take action. Turning to her friends Kong-dor and Shernare, she seeks guidance on expressing her feelings for a guy. Nare suggests getting all up in his face, but Kong-dor cautions against it, fearing the boy won't take her seriously. Nare enacts her suggestion with another classmate, Yoon, but both Seul and Kong-dor conclude it's too challenging. After school, Seul and Sae-byeok head home together, due to shared after-school lessons and living in the same building. The walk is awkward, and she ponders why she's hesitating to respond to his feelings. He breaks the silence, expressing his desire for her not to feel uncomfortable around him. He reassures her that she can take her time and that their friendship should remain unchanged. Buried in her thoughts, she contemplates her existence on Earth, seasons passing by like waves. She stops abruptly, causing him to inquire, and she recalls Nare's advice, screaming a hesitant fine and revealing her intention to reclaim her bead. As she speaks, her ears pop up, and her tooth grows. She declares her determination to win, promising to love him with all her heart. He, bewildered, agrees, and they continue their journey back to class. The boy, deep in thought, struggles to understand her response and what she meant by winning. The day before the field trip, they walk home together as usual. She queries if the mock exams follow the trip, and he affirms. She drops the bombshell that she hasn't been able to study because of him, surprising him. Taking charge, she declares her plan to study at his house at night, holding him responsible for her lack of preparation. The sheer audacity leaves him incredulous. When she questions if he's willing, he swiftly responds with a resolute yes. At nightfall, she rings at his door, patiently waiting for him to grant her entry. Eventually, he opens the door, and she steps inside. Curious about his mother's whereabouts, she learns that his mom won't be returning home that night due to overtime at work. Seemingly triggered by this information, she subtly frees herself from societal norms, her ears pop up, and a hairy tail unfurls. Eager to get down to studying, she proposes they start immediately. Teasingly, he points out stray hairs, and she dismisses the notion. The clock reads 9:40 as they dive into their studies. Amid the academic pursuit, his mind wanders, entertaining thoughts beyond textbooks. Wondering if their time together will be solely dedicated to studying, she interrupts his mental exploration by inquiring about his mom's recent frequent overtime. He confirms, prompting her to question his solitude, to which he admits being often alone. Confused by her line of questioning, he shifts gears, redirecting the conversation to her father. She shares snippets of her father's busy life, and he sympathizes, noting that her father must be a busy man. Despite feeling a hesitancy to share such personal stories, she finds comfort in his attentive listening. He reveals that he's accustomed to such narratives, having grown up with calm and flat stories. She agrees, adding that she almost didn't recognize him when they first reunited after a long period. Delving into his own past, he confides that he lacked close friends during his younger years, and not much excitement filled his days. Yet, he expresses gratitude for what he considers to be his best years, especially with her by his side. As the words leave his mouth, he blushes, perplexed at why he revealed such intimate sentiments. Upon hearing those unexpected words, she inches closer to him, leaving him bewildered. In a sudden turn of events, she forcefully pushes him to the ground, causing alarm. The cup of water on the table is sent flying, adding to the chaos. Within moments, she finds herself on top him, intensifying his confusion. He's trying to make sense of the situation, wondering if it's a dream or real. In the midst of all the thoughts, he questions her reasons, and whether it's okay to go on. Concerned for her well-being, he asks if she's alright, noting her profuse sweating. Sweat continues to trickle down her face, but suddenly, she regains composure, swiftly standing up and offering an apology. Grabbing her book, she declares the end of their study session for the night, citing the need to prepare for the upcoming field trip. As she bids him farewell and heads out, he's left surprised by the abrupt departure. Sweating and confused, he calls out to her, prompting an enigmatic response, she'll answer him during the field trip. Accepting this, he bids her farewell once more. In her room, she thinks about the strange meeting. Wondering about the sudden energy and actions, she ponders the unusual behavior. It's all part of the plan to get back the lost bead, but the encounter makes her briefly question her own identity. Despite the unfamiliar changes they notice in each other, destiny seems to be pulling them closer. The boy looks forward to the fox's response, as the eagerly awaited field trip is just a day away. The morning sun casts a warm glow as students eagerly board the bus for the highly anticipated field trip. Laughter and excited chatter fill the air as friends find their seats. Inside the bus, Sae Bayak occupies the seat next to Kondori, creating a lively atmosphere. On the opposite side of the aisle, Seol is seated with another guy, and she can't help but steal glances at the animated conversation happening beside her. Feeling a sense of longing, Sae Bayak musters the courage to propose a seat switch with Seol, hoping to be closer to her during the journey. However, when Kondori suggests the idea to Seol, she promptly rejects it, leaving Sae Bayak disheartened and questioning why she didn't seize the opportunity. Kondori, in her usual playful manner, informs Seol that she could have easily switched seats if she had asked nicely. With no option left, Seol resigns herself to conversing with Sae Bayak throughout the trip. In a surprising turn of events, both Sae Bayak and An Kyung-shik, the boy seated beside Seol, independently approach Kondori to propose a seat switch. Sae Bayak, taken aback by the unexpected turn, is told by Kyung-shik that it's what friends do. The revelation that Kyung-shik simply wants to sit next to Seol prompts her initial hesitation, but she eventually agrees, leading to the seat swap. And so, the fox achieves her goal of sitting next to the boy for the entire journey. Even with this success, a silent pain stays in her heart, a complicated feeling that's hard to explain. What could this emotion be? The fox will likely figure out the mystery eventually. The group arrives at the mysterious scare maze, and Suel is puzzled by the ominous name. Her desire for a day spent solely with Sae is overshadowed by apprehension. She has no intention of venturing into a frightful place. Kongdori reassures her, claiming it's not as scary as it sounds, and they enter the maze in pairs. In the dimly lit and eerie building, Sae, unyielding to fear since childhood, remains not disturbed. Suel, on the other hand, trails closely behind him, hands gripping his shoulder. As they navigate the threatening corridors, he senses her unease and inquires about her well-being. She swiftly asserts her toughness, reminding him of her mystical fox identity with 4 tails. A sudden clang startles her, and she shivers, visibly afraid. Sae encourages her to drop the tough act and admit her fear, suggesting that even with 4 tails, it's okay to be scared. In response, she asserts her resilience, rejecting any acknowledgement of fear. He, unconvinced, playfully remarks that if she had 5 tails, it might be a different story. As they continue to maneuver through the darkness, Suel clings tightly to Sae, pointing out that he, too, succumbed to the charms of the fox he once belittled. Suddenly, a mysterious figure, a gumiho, appears behind them. This proves to be the breaking point, prompting them to hastily exit the spine-chilling maze. Emerging from the chilling maze, Suel, visibly shaken, suggests getting someone to remove the curse, thinking the place is haunted. Sae, seeing she's really worried, wonders if she's being a bit irrational. Outside, she holds on to him, upset about the ugly way Gumiho is shown, and asks why people think they're scary. Opting for a change of scenery while awaiting the others, they embark on various amusements, the merry-go-round and horse rides. Sae inquires about her enjoyment, and she enthusiastically shares her delight, confessing it's her first visit to an amusement park. Assuming he's a frequent visitor, she probes about the regularity of such outings, to which he explains that it varies from person to person. Deciding to take a brief respite, he checks a text from the others, and they settle into chairs. Suel indulges in licking her ice cream, breaking the silence. Sae, teasingly, points out her apparent fear of Gumiho cosplays, but she vehemently denies it. Mocking laughter ensues, fueling her ire as she accuses him of not being scared of her at all. Unfazed, he declares his lack of fear, prompting her to playfully threaten that she might devour him. He, in disbelief, challenges her resolve, asserting she doesn't have the courage to carry out such a threat. As he inches closer, her ears abruptly pop up, signaling her anxiety. Sae, grinning, claims victory, but his triumph is cut short as she delivers a punch. Despite his protests, she continues, unaware that the others have returned, discovering her distinctive ears standing tall in an amusingly unexpected manner. The scene leaves the group bewildered by the peculiar display. Caught in an unexpected revelation, Suel scrambles to cover up her distinctive ears, realizing the potential confusion and suspicion that could arise. Kongdori, with a discerning eye, becomes increasingly suspicious, sensing that there's more to the situation than meets the eye. In the midst of this, Nare, unaware of the true nature of Suel's ears, excitedly pulls out her phone, assuming the ears to be a cute headband. Nare, eager to get a closer look, compliments the faux ears, asking for permission to touch them. Suel, Sae, and Kongdori are left dumbfounded, grappling with how to navigate this unexpected turn of events. As the 2 girls enthusiastically start touching what they believe to be a headband, Kongdori starts to entertain the idea that these might be real ears. Thinking on his feet, Sae interjects, suggesting that Suel got the ears as a souvenir from the nearby zoo. Nare, still blissfully ignorant, seizes the idea and shares her excitement with Kongdori, proposing they all get matching ears. She urges Suel to wait for them, expressing her eagerness to take pictures together. Nare invites the other guys to join the quirky adventure, but Kongdori remains unconvinced, convinced that there might be more to Suel's ears than just a souvenir. Happy that their nosy friends are gone, Suel and Sae feel better together. They hold hands and decide to leave. Their spontaneous escape feels like a fun adventure with no specific plan, as if they're creating their own secret world. Eventually, they discover a merry-go-round and seek comfort in its playful surroundings. Seated across from each other within the vibrant, spinning ride, Sae-byok teasingly calls Seol a dummy fox, provoking a playful retort. Inquisitive about her earlier proclamation of wanting to eat him, Sae-byok persists, unraveling the layers of mystery surrounding her. Seol, shying away from conversation, insists he should shut up, but Sae-byok remains undeterred. On the merry-go-round, they sit quietly, thinking. Sae-byok waits for Seol's answer about what he likes. She talks about their differences, but he honestly says they're not that different. They look at each other, lost in thought. Seol feels surprised by how close they are now, and can't find the right words to say. As the merry-go-round completes its magical journey, the door clicks open, marking the end of their whimsical escape. Seol, eager to leave, is halted by Sae-byok's inquiry about the promised answer. She cryptically hints that there's ample time left in the day. On the bus ride back, Seol sits beside Sae-byok, stealing a look as he sleeps peacefully. Lost in her thoughts, she thinks about life's story, made up of moments both memorable and surprising. The spilled coffee, the broken cup, and the discovery of their heart's desires, each piece adds to the detailed picture of their shared experiences. Awoken by the bustling activity around him, Sae-byok is surprised to find Seol absent. A message on his phone reveals her departure, explaining that she left while he was asleep. In a subsequent message, she promises to deliver her answer at midnight, eliciting an okay from Sae-byok. As Seol strolls home, the echo of her song carries the anticipation of what midnight might unveil. In a half-asleep state, Seol has a strange dream about her mom. It's weird, her mom calls her name and makes her feel guilty. The dream is kind of scary, and Seol wakes up with a headache. Checking the time, she discovers it's almost 11 p.m. Her father, seemingly concerned, offers her a drink, revealing that she fell asleep the moment she returned from the field trip. When Seol shares her unsettling dream, her father casually mentions that he often dreams of her mother, an image that remains unchanged. Seol reassures herself that what she saw was merely a dream. As the clock ticks to 11:32 p.m., Sae-byok finds himself restless, anxiously awaiting a message from Seol. This peculiar feeling is unfamiliar to him. The clock strikes 11:47 p.m., and the restlessness intensifies. Sitting up on his bed, he wonders if Seol has succumbed to sleep. The idea of texting her first crosses his mind, but he dismisses it, deeming it excessive. Suddenly, the awaited notification chimes on his phone, revealing a cryptic message, "The park where we met." Surprised by the lateness of the hour, he realizes he has no choice but to comply. Sae-byok swiftly leaves his bed and rushes to the designated location, propelled by a sense of anticipation and curiosity. In the dimly lit park, Sae-byok finally arrives to find Seol sitting alone. He hesitates for a moment, observing her quietly. At her request, he joins her, inquiring if she's been waiting long. Her response is indifferent as they both settle into an uneasy silence. She avoids making eye contact, prompting him to question her apparent discomfort. Attempting to lighten the mood, he compliments her outfit, but she curtly tells him to shut up. The lingering tension finds an outlet when he brings up the incident with her ears at the amusement park. Breaking the silence, Seol poses a straightforward question: why does he like her? Absent-mindedly, he responds with a simple, "Because you're beautiful," his face turned away in embarrassment. At her request, he looks at her and repeats the sentiment. Just as he begins to express his feelings more fully, Seol gets distracted by a passing cat. Frustrated by the interruption, he watches as she squats to pet the feline. Unexpectedly, she turns back to him and awkwardly asks if she can be his girlfriend, catching him off guard. The following day at school, they stick together as always. Sae-byok inquires about a new movie, surprised to learn that Seol hasn't seen it. Playfully, he denies any intention of asking her out on a date, but proceeds to spoil the movie for her. An angered Seol sees her ears pop out, prompting him to remind her of the earlier incident. With a mischievous grin, he admits that was his plan all along. Offering an alternative, he suggests going to see a play at Dehangno, to which she agrees, questioning why he didn't mention it earlier instead of spoiling the movie. 1 week has passed since the inception of their romantic journey. On their way to school, he casually inquires about her completed assignment, and she assures him with a positive response. In class, the prospect of stopping at the cafe after school arises again, and she agrees without hesitation. As the day unfolds, they part ways outside her house, exchanging a simple goodnight. On the 8th day of being a couple, there's a tension in the air as they walk to school without talking. She feels like there should be more to it, expecting things like holding hands, talking late at night, and the thrill of changing contact names, typical things in young love. But in reality, not much has changed from before they started dating. It feels a bit awkward. Feeling her discomfort, he sees she's sweating and gets worried. She looks distant, lost in thought. While she's struggling inside, he notices something strange, fur on her head. Curious, he asks if she's shedding, trying to understand what's going on. But her mind is focused on the difference between what she hoped for in their relationship and what's happening now. A week and a day into their relationship, Suel finds herself wondering about the lack of progress and when she'll finally get her bead. In class, she steals glances at him, pondering over what might be going on in his mind. She feels the responsibility is not supposed to be on her, being the one who got asked out, yet she finds herself more nervous than him. He notices her unusual behavior, expressing concern and asking if she ate something weird. As she contemplates sharing her worries, she hesitates, leaving the words unspoken. When he questions her well-being again, she reassures him, concealing her inner turmoil. In their after-class lesson, the concern still nags at Suel. She wonders why he isn't taking any initiative, despite expressing that she's pretty and he likes her. The frustration builds within her. On their way home, the issue continues to weigh on her mind. While she's not particularly eager for physical intimacy, she contemplates it solely for the sake of obtaining the bead. Unexpectedly, he breaks the silence by asking if he can hold her hand, extending his hand towards her. Suel, both surprised and relieved, accepts his gesture, stating that he can if he likes. As they walk hand in hand, she feels the warmth of his hand. Curious, she questions why he didn't do this earlier when they were heading to school. He explains that it was due to some classmates they encountered on the way, fearing it might become bothersome later on. Her spirits lift a bit, realizing that he also cares about their public image. Delving into the topic further, she asks him if he likes holding her hand, receiving an affirmative response. Suel, content with his answer, playfully mentions that she'll let it slide. Confused, he seeks clarification, but she remains silent. In her mind, as long as he enjoys it, everything seems to be going well in their own way. In the bustling halls of the school, Nare excitedly announces to her friends that she's now dating Hanel. Kongdori's surprised reaction prompts Nare to explain that it just happened, and she wanted to share the news with her friends before it became apparent to everyone. Kongdori, with an eye on the looming final exams, questions how they find the time to date. Another student chimes in, revealing that Nare hasn't been in the class's top 10 before. Kongdori turns to Suel, asking for her opinion. Suel offers a balanced perspective, acknowledging that if Nare and Hanel like each other, there are likely both pros and cons to consider. Unbeknownst to everyone, Sae-Bayok and Suel have also started dating. Later in the day, as they prepare for a track event, Sae-Bayok suggests to Suel that they keep their relationship a secret for the time being. This revelation catches her off guard, and he goes on to explain that being a couple would attract too much attention from their peers. Understanding the reasoning behind his suggestion, she reluctantly agrees. The track event begins, but as they race, Suel unexpectedly trips and falls. The impact elicits a cry of pain, prompting Sae-Bayok to rush to her side, genuinely concerned about her well-being. However, despite the incident, Suel can't shake off the lingering discomfort caused by the secrecy surrounding their relationship. Even though she initially agreed, the idea of keeping their connection hidden continues to weigh heavily on her mind. In the tranquil evening, Suel returns home with visible bruises on her face. As she reflects on Saebyok's suggestion to keep their relationship a secret, she begins to understand his perspective. Feeling it might be too early to share their dating status with others, she wonders why she was initially worried about it. Seeking guidance, she opens up to her father about her fears of not finding the bead after just a week of dating. He reassures her, emphasizing the importance of patience in matters of the heart. Reminding her that their relationship is precious, he advises her to match her pace with Saebyok's, cautioning that love doesn't necessarily blossom right from the start. Intrigued, she asks what she needs to do, only to discover that there's no definitive answer. They'll have to navigate the journey of love together. Feeling the need for a peer's perspective, Suel meets with her friend Dory at the bakery cafe. Concealing the fact that she's talking about herself, she invents a scenario involving a friend seeking advice. Dory, unaware of Suel's pre-high school friendships, listens attentively. Suel describes the situation, expressing concern that while the boy likes the girl, there's a lack of burning desire or deep thought about the relationship. Dory identifies the issue, suggesting that a change in their routine is necessary for the relationship to progress. Later that night, Suel sends a message to Saebyok, asking him to open the door. When he does, she's standing outside, attempting to scare him. Unfazed, she questions if he's busy, and she proposes they go for a walk. Surprised by the late-night request, Saebyok agrees after changing clothes. During their walk, he confronts her about the tension he sensed, pointing out her twitching ears. Pretending not to understand, she shifts the conversation and asks if he'll be free over the weekend. When he confirms, she suggests a trip for just the two of them, to which he agrees. Excitement fills the air as Saebyok agrees to the suggestion of a day trip. Suel, grinning, reassures him that it's indeed just for a day. Curiosity sparkles in her eyes as she boldly asks him what he thinks about her. In a playful manner, he teases her, likening her to a gumiho known for absorbing human energy. She playfully scolds him, and laughter permeates the atmosphere, dispelling any lingering tension. As they walk back home, a genuine expression of gratitude escapes his lips. Intrigued, she inquires about his thoughts, prompting him to question the sudden desire for a trip. Suel reflects on the advice from her friend Dory, realizing the need to break the monotony of their everyday routine. Dory had emphasized the importance of creating new memories in a fresh and unfamiliar place. Eager to implement this suggestion, Suel proposed the idea of a trip. She candidly admits to Saebyok that she wants to see the ocean, revealing that she has never witnessed its vast beauty since arriving in this world. With a warm smile, she holds his arm, expressing her desire to share this first experience with him. Saebyok, convinced and curious, asks about their destination. The next day unfolds with Suel taking the proactive approach, sending Saebyok a detailed message outlining their destination and the meticulously planned schedule for the day. As he awakens to this message, a sense of anticipation stirs within him. When they cross paths at school, he can't help but express his reservations about the structured scheduling. Suel, however, holds a different perspective. She believes that with only one day at their disposal, a well-planned schedule is essential to ensure they make the most of their time. Her eagerness stems not just from the desire to explore new places and savor different cuisines, but also from the hope that this excursion might spark a connection with the elusive bead. She points out the reality that they'll be seniors next year, hinting that such opportunities might become scarce. Saebyok, with a gentle demeanor, counters her urgency, emphasizing that there's no need to rush their experiences. Attempting to ease her anxiety, he reaches to touch her head, gently taming her twitching ears. Reassuringly, he conveys that this won't be their final trip together. Suel, perhaps not entirely convinced, shifts the focus by informing him that she'll handle getting their tickets, suggesting they split the bills evenly. Back home, as the evening comes, Saebyok happily tells his mom about an upcoming trip to the ocean. It's surprising news because he used to be scared of water when he was a kid. He assures his mom that he's changed and mentions the busy senior year ahead. When asked about Suel, he says they're going together. His mom, catching on to their romantic connection, playfully suggests getting a driver's license after graduation for better dates in the future. As their conversation deepens, she delves into her own love story, recounting how she fell for his father. Uncomfortable with the subject, Sae Byok feigns disinterest, diverting his attention to his phone. A tender moment ensues as his mother, seemingly amused, ruffles his hair, teasingly acknowledging his grown-up demeanor. She predicts a future where admirers will flock to him, pointing out the evolving resemblance to his father. His phone interrupts the tender moment with a text from Seol, informing him of the ticket acquisition and urging him to rise early the next day. The subtle changes in Sae Byok do not escape his mother's notice, and an air of excitement permeates the room. Time slips away, and soon, early Saturday morning arrives with the sound of the alarm clock piercing the stillness at 5 o'clock. The smell of fall leaves comes in through the open window, creating a magical feeling as they get ready for the day. Sae Byok thinks about the unknown things waiting for them, making way for an adventure that will add new and unforgettable memories to their journey together. They step into the busy Busan station, surrounded by the lively noise of many travelers, each with their own stories of exploration. Sae Byok, excited about the day's adventure, turns to Seol with curiosity, asking where they're going first. Seol, good at organizing, quickly gets her phone and shows a well-planned schedule, ensuring a day full of discovery. In the busy crowd, Seol gets distracted for a moment and accidentally bumps into a girl going the other way. Quick to say sorry, Seol finds herself unexpectedly crossing paths, where politeness meets chance. Sae Byok, always watchful, gently reminds her to be careful in the bustling crowd, emphasizing the need to stay mindful during their trip together. Worried that the day might not go well, Sae Byok takes charge. He looks at Seol more seriously, reaches for her hand, and holds it tight. Seol, surprised by his unusual behavior, mentions how he's acting like a boyfriend. Confused, he asks what she means. Seol explains that it's how smoothly he's been acting today that's different. Holding hands, they move through the busy station, not realizing that someone noticed their talk. The girl they bumped into earlier overhears and sneaks a look at the couple. After enjoying a nice late breakfast, they head to their next stop, the ocean. Just thinking about it makes Seol really excited as they catch a bus for this beautiful trip. When they get there, they walk along the coast, each step getting them closer to the amazing view of the sea. Sae Byok, always thinking of Seol, secretly records her happy moment on camera, trying to capture it without her knowing, but Seol senses he's filming and asks to see. He agrees and shows her the video, giving her a candid look at her own joyful expression. Standing there, looking at the big ocean, a quiet moment happens. Sae Byok speaks up, asking Seol what she's thinking. She admits she avoids checking the time on purpose, not wanting to realize that the day is passing by quickly. Knowing these happy moments won't last makes her feel both excited and worried. Realizing their adventure won't last forever, Seol thinks about what these experiences mean in her search for the bead. Unspoken worries are in her mind, wondering how Sae Byok would feel if he knew what she's really thinking. Breaking her thoughts, Sae Byok suggests adding a spontaneous stop to their plan, another ocean known to be even more beautiful at night. He describes festivals and walks under the moonlight. Seol, surprised by this unexpected idea, doesn't know what to say. As he playfully holds her small finger, making it a little promise, she jokingly asks him not to ruin the moment. Walking away from the coast, Seol thinks about how perception can change things, realizing that the same view, in a different season or with a different person, can bring out totally different feelings. Sae Byok asks if she sees things the same way, and she nods, agreeing that different situations can really change how you see things. Finding a tranquil spot by the beach, Seol poses an intriguing question to Sae Byok. What does the ocean mean to him in this moment? Caught off guard, he looks at her, momentarily taken aback. Undeterred, Seol patiently awaits his response. After a brief pause, he utters a simple yet sincere description, pretty. Playfully nudging him, Seol teases him for stating the obvious, inviting a moment of shared laughter. As the sun goes down, painting the sky in orange and pink, Seol suggests taking a break at a nearby cafe. Her legs hurt from walking all day, and the approaching sunset is a good reason to pause their adventure. In the quaint cafe, Seol finds herself lost in thought. Acknowledging her impatience, she recalls Sae Byok's earlier advice to take things slowly. Amidst her contemplation, the unexpected happens. The girl whom Seul accidentally bumped into earlier enters the cafe. Recognition flickers across her face as she locks eyes with Sae Byok. Intrigued, he tries to recall the girl's identity, prompting her to playfully remind him of the time that has elapsed. In the comfy cafe, the smell of coffee around them, Yeseo starts remembering the times they spent in middle school. It's been over 4 years since they last saw each other, and her family moving away had ended their connection. When she talks about Kondori, Sae Byok remembers, and Yeseo talks about their shared history. Yeseo, now formally introduced as In Yeseo, relives moments from their middle school days, reminiscing about Sae Byok's role as the class president during their second year. Her words flow freely, painting vivid images of a bygone era, yet her relentless chatter begins to unsettle Seul, who finds herself growing increasingly uncomfortable with Yeseo's animated storytelling. As Yeseo probes further, Seul introduces herself. Yeseo is surprised when Sae Byok honestly admits to having a girlfriend. She compliments Seul's looks, and Seul is briefly surprised by Yeseo's unexpected comments on their relationship. In the course of their conversation, Yeseo discovers Sae Byok's current lack of social media presence. She teases him for being old-fashioned, eliciting a playful defense about the perceived complexity and effort involved in managing such platforms. As the evening goes on, Yeseo keeps talking, saying she doesn't like day trips because they feel rushed. Sae Byok, realizing they need to go, agrees with her but also says they have to leave. Yeseo, knowing their meeting is brief, thinks about how it's hard to randomly cross paths like this. As they walk to leave, Yeseo casually mentions that Sae Byok has grown taller than her over the years. Seul, quietly going along with the conversation, starts to feel a bit left out from their shared history. The cafe door opens, and with each step outside, the dynamics between the three of them change. At the busy bus stop, Yeseo says goodbye, promising to reconnect when she visits Sae Byok's town. She invites them to hang out, including his girlfriend, and Seul, cool but polite, agrees. They talk about Dory, and Yeseo wants to meet her friend in person, mentioning her upcoming birthday celebration. Sae Byok, thinking quickly, asks Yeseo not to tell Dory about their meeting just yet. Yeseo understands, promises to keep it a secret, adds her number to Sae Byok's phone, and leaves, leaving the couple alone. On the bus with just Seul, the effects of the encounter linger. Sae Byok, trying to understand how Seul feels, asks about the dinner plans. Seul's mysterious comment about Yeseo being so pretty sets the stage for a complex exploration of emotions. Sae Byok, carefully navigating the conversation, gets involved in Seul's inner struggle. Tension rises as Seul considers the chance of feeling jealous, leading to a playful yet thoughtful talk about natural hair color and the nature of non-romantic friendships. Getting off the bus, Sae Byok tries to reassure Seul about his connection with Yeseo. However, Seul isn't convinced, drawing comparisons between their friendship and how Sae Byok started dating Dory. The conversation gets more intense, showing Seul's discomfort and Sae Byok's efforts to keep things light. Walking through busy streets, the talk becomes a mix of emotions. Seul, still dealing with Yeseo's perceived flirtation, talks to Sae Byok about the details of their friendship. The tension builds as Sae Byok expresses appreciation for the unique nature of their relationship and the unfamiliar feelings Yeseo's unexpected appearance stirred up. The day reaches a critical moment as the discovery of a lost ticket disrupts their carefully planned day trip. Panic takes over as Seul desperately checks her pockets, realizing the ticket was in her phone, which now seems to be lost. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 2. Your comments help gauge the demand for the continuation of the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, farewell.